Hello, my name is Wayne Ergel. Welcome to this video. There's two reasons you're probably here. One, you saw my original video on this topic where I did content categorization and clustering using Google Sheets, and you want to know how to do it with Airtable. And then the other way was you just came across this video, and I appreciate you being here for whichever reason brought you. So what we're going to talk about is transforming a bunch of keywords into content ideas. So what got me thinking about doing this in the first place is this. This is an export of keywords from SEMrush, and you can see, no offense to SEMrush, it's a giant list of keywords. And you know, what do you do with them? And that's what this workflow is all about. So I'm just going to use my little pen here and draw a bit, but what we're really trying to do is turn keyword list into actionable content ideas. That's what this workflow does. So it takes a long list, but you don't have to look at it, and it categorizes the keyword and clusters them into a hub and spoke architecture, which you probably have heard of. You may have heard it called pillar and subpage or pillar and supporting page. Basically, it's a main article and supporting articles around it. So this is part 2 of a series. This is the second workflow in a 3 workflow system, and I'll talk about the other 2 here in a moment. But what we're going to do is walk through the updated workflow that takes this master keyword list, which I'll show you, and again categorizes them so that you have an idea of what kind of content to write and what you might expect from it, and creates a cluster, or creates a hub and spoke architecture. So let's see, anything else here? So it's good for if you're a content marketer, SEO specialist, or if you just have a website that you've written content for and you want an automated way to do it. This is part of a workflow that would do that for you. So one of the questions I get is, why did I switch from Google Sheets to Airtable? Couple of reasons. One of them is just simply it's a better looking interface to me. I'm working in it all day, and it's nice to have a better looking interface. But a more important reason, there's really 2. It's built-in automation, so you don't have to go outside of Airtable to do an automation. It has them. You can create them in their built-in sort of platform for automation. So if you have a status that you want to change from green to blue, and you change it to blue and you want something else to happen, you can create that automation inside Airtable, and I use that in this workflow and whenever I'm using Airtable. So it's a pretty good feature, and you may be able to do that in Google Sheets, but to me it's just a lot easier to use Airtable. The other one, and one of the bigger ones, is grouping. It's very easy to group by a category name or a keyword name, or group by whatever you'd like, and you'll see that in a moment when I go through the workflow and the results in Airtable. If you are not a fan of Airtable, and I will tell you this, I forgot to say, the workflow does require, because it has a script, you need the paid plan, the lowest level paid plan, which is Teams. I think it's $24.99 a month or something like that. If you do it annually, it's around $20, but you do need that plan to make this work. If you're looking for another solution, NOCODB, which here's their website, it's NOCODB.com. Build databases as spreadsheets, no coding required. I think it's a great option. I'm starting to use it in other workflows and may transition to it exclusively because it does many of the same things as Airtable. You'll see it looks very similar to Airtable, but the API is actually, at least what they let you use, is more powerful than Airtable in my opinion. So if you're looking for a solution other than Airtable and Google Sheets, then NOCODB may be it for you. So what I'm going to do in this, and to let you know, all of the sections are bookmarked or chapter marked, whatever YouTube calls them, so you can skip around as you need to. If you're familiar with a lot of this stuff and you just want to see how the workflow works with Airtable, you can skip to that part. So just letting you know that you're able to do that. So what I'm going to do is review the 3 workflows and then get into how it works now with Airtable. And simply there are 3. So the step 1 is keyword research. So that's where you're going and getting that big long list of keywords. I'm using data for SEO for that, which I've talked about a good bit in the other video, so I won't go into it here, but great platform. You can get a lot of keyword data for a little bit of money, pennies, versus an expensive monthly subscription to traditional tools. The second step, so again, we've got keyword research, is categorization and clustering, so doing something with those keywords so they're not just a big long list. And the result here actually is a title and a description for each one of the keywords, whether they're categorized or clustered. So you get actual, here's what you should write sort of output. And then the third part is a smart AI writer, so you feed your title and description into it and it'll write a blog post for you. So I'm going to quickly review those here in n8n. This is the keyword research. We're getting the data from Airtable, and it's now a good time to go look at that. So in Airtable there is a table called Master All Keyword Variations, and you can see here this is one of the reasons that I switched to Airtable. What I've done is grouped all of the results by the primary keyword. So the primary keyword is AI agent. That's what I fed into data for SEO, and that got a whole bunch of other keywords that we can use to write content for. But I'm able to group by that. So if you had 50 keywords here, you could just have these 50, one row, and you twirl it down to get the actual result. So again, maybe you can do that in Google Sheets. It's very easy to do it here in Airtable. So the results are, and I ran this again through the first workflow, we've got 10 autocomplete suggestions, 25 keyword ideas, and with that you're getting keyword difficulty, search intent, monthly search volume, all of that kind of stuff, keyword related keywords, and keyword suggestions. So this is the data that you get back from this workflow, and again it's connecting to data for SEO via their many API endpoints. So that's the first part of the workflow. We're going to get to the second one and go through this in more detail, but this is what it looks like. Here we're taking all of those same keywords, so we take 101 keywords, whatever the number might be if you've run it for a different primary keyword. So you see here we'll take 101 of them and run it through sort of 2 halves. The first half categorizes and creates content opportunities. The second half clusters and creates content opportunities. So we're doing the content opportunities 2 different ways, and I will get to that in a moment. The third workflow is this one. Sorry, I didn't have that open. And this is an smart AI blog writing system. So here we're taking in one of the results from the step 2. So it's a title and a description, and we're writing an article. And what I did in this workflow, and I have a video on this if you want to learn more about it, but basically I took every part of writing an article and created a module, an AI agent for that. So I've got one for the title, the key takeaways, the introduction, main body, conclusion, all of it is modularized. And I did that because I found that these AI agents, if you give them too much to do, they get distracted, they get off topic. And here I just said, you are the title writer and you write it. So that worked pretty well. I think the content that it produces is pretty good. So that's the third step. Talk one little minute, give you a little commercial here. What I'm finding is people are looking at these videos, and some people can take them and use these systems and bang out content and do whatever they'd like with them. Other people maybe don't have time or aren't as familiar with n8n as they would need to be. So I just wanted to say, if you'd like to work with me on this, if you have several hundred blog posts that you'd like to write or you need to write, or look out over a year and you want to do more than that, I'd be glad and happy to work with you. Some of the enhancements that you would see is expanded keyword research, so more data there, a little more efficient and better clustering, articles written by type, so instead of just here write an article, it would be a listicle or a how-to or a guide or a definitive guide or a comparison or a what not to do. There's a ton of them. And you could customize the prompts to write that. And then batched writing, right now you click one time, you get one article. I could set that up so that it did them in batches. So what you'd end up with is your own AI content team customized for your business and with the different enhancements available. If you're interested in doing that, please reach out, book a discovery call. There'll be a link in the description and in the pinned comment. I'd love to talk to you about that, so let me know if you'd like to. End of commercial. Thanks for listening to that. Moving on, I'm going to go into the workflow and show you this diagram, and let me just shrink it down a little. So basically what's happening is, again, we're getting this master keyword list, which is master all keyword variation. So this entire list, 109 records. You might have 500 records there, you might have 200, whatever the number is. We're going to get it first. So grab the list. Now we're going to send it to an AI agent that categorizes each keyword. And so there's criteria for different categories like quick wins, authority builders, emerging topics. I'll show you that when we get into the workflow. Then I take that and add the categorized keyword to Airtable. It gets added to its own table, not a table that you'll be doing much in, but the data is there, and I'll show you that in a moment. But then the sort of good stuff happens is the next AI agent creates a working title and a description. So the prompt there is create a SEO optimized title and a description that can be used by another AI workflow to write an article. And it does a pretty good job of that. That gets stored in an Airtable as well. And I'm going to, I'll show you that now. So here we are. This is the keyword categories table, and again I'm going to show you a trick here with Airtable. That is one of the reasons I switched to it. You can see it's sort of a mess of stuff. If I just say group and I want to group by category, now everything's nice and easy to see. So I've got authority builders, here's the keywords and article titles. Oh no, this is just the categories table. This is the category, keyword, monthly search volume, that kind of thing. Then here's an emerging topics category, intent signals, quick wins, and I'll get to how these criteria are used when I get into the workflow. So that's what the keyword categories looks like. And then as far as getting ideas, now we're getting content ideas from keywords. This is another table in this Airtable base. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you the content ideas from keywords. So now we categorized them here. I just showed you that. Now these are the actual ideas. So we have a title, top AI agent companies revolutionizing industries, and then a description to go with that. So that would be an authority builder sort of article. So harder to rank for, higher search volume, and higher keyword difficulty. Emerging topics, these are topics that the AI has looked at and said, okay, maybe there's not a lot of search volume for these right now, but they could be. So swarm AI agents, the future of coordination. These are all articles you might want to write to try to get ahead of the curve as far as ranking for them. Some that go more deeply into search intent signals, so that's what this one is about. And then quick wins is something that if you have a brand new website, you might want to just tackle these right to start with. These are relatively high search volume and relatively low keyword difficulty. And we've got 32 of them, and you could literally bang those out. The article writer takes 3 to 5 minutes, so a couple hours you could write all 32 articles. So that's what the content looks like on the categorization side, which was here. So we just looked at that, add to Airtable. Then I run through it again and take the AI agent and he or she takes the entire keyword list and analyzes and clusters them. So it creates clusters. Those are added to Airtable. Similar to the keyword categorization table, you probably won't be using that table very much, but it is there. But the important table really is the AI agent takes all of this keyword data in and creates, it's actually our hub and spoke articles, not pillar and supporting content. Same thing, I just decided to go with hub and spoke and forgot to update that. But anyway, it creates one hub and 5 supporting or 5 spoke articles, adds those to Airtable. So I'm going to go show you that here in Airtable. These are the clusters. So it came up with these clusters and the keywords that go with them and the reasoning for them. And again, I'll show you that a little bit more in the workflow. But the better, or the place where you'll spend more time is in the content ideas from clusters. So again, I've got a categories. You won't spend time there. You'll be in here, content ideas from keywords. I've got a clusters tab, table. Won't spend much time here. You'll be here, content ideas from clusters. And again, I have this group, so let me ungroup it just to show you. Big mess of stuff. Now I'm going to group it. You can select which field you'd like to group it by. I'm going to group by cluster name, and there you go. You've got them all grouped. So what we've got here is one hub article and 5 spoke, and I have that hard coded into the workflow. You would be able to change that if you'd like, and I'll talk about that more when we get to it. But here's these different clusters. AI agent tools and platforms. This is top AI agent tools for developers, comprehensive guide. So that is the title of the article, and this is a description. So these would be fed into the AI writer, and it would write an article for you. And speaking of that, I'll just show you how you would get to the writer very quickly here. And let's say we wanted to write this article. So I have a status field here and a thing called an article writer table, and you can see it's empty. So what I did was, because not all of these are going to be ones you want to write, you might want to discard them, I created a separate table where articles that you want to write go to live. So you'll see that here in a second. So let's say we want to write this article. We're going to send it to the article writer. Select that status. And you'll see the status change to in article writer. So it moved everything that's important over here to the article writer. So that included the title, the description, the primary keyword, the keyword that it would rank for. Primary keyword again was from the very first workflow that was used to develop all of these associated keywords. And so there's your article you'd want to write, and then if you had the third workflow working, you would say write article, and it would write it for you. So that's the flow to get from the categorized and clustered keywords. Same thing here, I didn't say that. If we want to write this article, Google AI Agent White Paper Explain. Again, that's what I'm saying. You will see ones that don't probably make a lot of sense, and you wouldn't want to write them, so you could discard them. Let's pick one that might be more interesting, like this one. Send to article writer. It's going to give us that same updated status to let you know it's in the article writer, and now we see it here, and this is actually clustered or grouped by the category or cluster name. So again, that grouping feature is coming in. So that is this diagram and how it works in general. Now I'm going to jump into the workflow and go through that. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is, and this is very important, is copy this base. So in Airtable, they have the main sort of body of the of Airtable are Airtable bases. In the bases, you have tables. You need to click on this keyword research content ideation. Click there. You'll see an Airtable base open up. This is my base. What's the name of it? Keyword research content ideation auto writing 030725. That's my base. What you need to do is select copy base, and it will copy it. Again, you have to have an Airtable account, and you need a paid account at the lowest level for this to work, for the scripts that connect the trigger to the n8n webhook. If you ask me to get access, I can't give you that. I'd love to. I don't particularly care whether you have access to it, but I have to pay for it. I found out the hard way through giving a number of people access. What that really means is you now are on my plan, and I'm paying $20 a month for you. And you may imagine that if you do that for 7, 8 people, it all of a sudden added up to way more money than I was. It added up to way more money than I expected. So please just click copy base. It'll copy it to your account. Important step number 1. That's what that was. Hi there. One thing I failed to mention when I was going through the workflow, and so if this sort of seems like an awkward segue, maybe it is. Hopefully I can make it smooth. But one thing I failed to mention was creating the credential for connecting to Airtable, and I'll show you that now. So if you double click on an Airtable node, the way it connects is with a Airtable personal access token. So you go to Airtable Builder Hub. So click on your little icon there, and then go to Builder Hub. Click here on personal access token. So you would create a personal token. So you would click on create new token. I'm not going to do that, but then you would note it down, of course, and you have to be careful to give it the right scopes. And you have to give it the right scopes. You'll see this as you're doing it. So with the scoping, these are the ones that I did. They work. So read, write, structure, see data and records, so you can read that. So you do that, save changes, and you have a personal access token. Now you copy it down, and when you go back into n8n, you would enter that, create your own Airtable personal access token, and of course you can call it whatever you want. It's probably a better name than I gave there. Give it a name, put your personal access token in there, and then save it. So that's obviously hugely important, is getting that connection made. It's not unlike any other connection to n8n where you need to connect Google Sheets or a Word doc, a Google Doc, whatever it might be. You're giving it a credential. Sometimes they're API keys, other times they're just personal tokens, and that's the way Airtable works. So you need to do that first to get this to work. So right after setting Airtable fields, or at the same time, just make sure you set the fields and do the personal token. So I've stuck this in here into the video. Sorry again if it's an awkward sort of flow, but this is super important, so I wanted to get it in, and now we'll continue with the rest of it. Important step number 2 is to set the fields. So Airtable, the URL has, you can get, so in Airtable the URL includes a identifier for the Airtable base, and then a table ID for each table. So to get the Airtable base, you go to Airtable, and it's the first set of numbers and letters after airtable.com and after that /. So it's app and then some numbers and letters and another /. So you can see that Airtable base ID I have set that right here. And if you remember, it ended with JJS. So you need to copy that bit of the URL and paste it here. For the table ID, it's the next field. So this is the article writer table. I could get that to go away. I get it to go away. So this is the article writer table. I need to, actually that's a bad example. So here we are. I switched over to the master all keyword variations. The article writer was a bad example because it's not in the workflow. But the master all keyword variations is, we've got our base ID, and now here I'm going to show you this is the table ID. So it's the next set of numbers and letters. Copy that, and if you look at it as AFU. Workflow. This is my master all keyword variations table ID, and there it is. So I know it's a little bit of a pain, but there's a benefit to doing this, and that is you can change the names of the table and it won't mess up the workflow. If you're referencing table names throughout the workflow, if you were to change it, then you'd have to go change it throughout the workflow, and if you had a big workflow, that's a pain. Here, the table ID wouldn't change, just the name, so you wouldn't need to make all those changes. And when I say all those changes, it would be here, 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 and here. If you only have a few, you could go with naming table names, and if you want to do that. But this way, it's much cleaner. So you need to go and get the Airtable base ID, the categories table ID, the keyword content ideas from keywords table ID, clusters table ID, content ideas from clusters table ID. So all of those, paste those in. Okay, so now we're going on through the workflow. We're setting the table, or the Airtable field, as I already said. Now we're getting all of those keywords. So we have this Airtable. This is the built-in n8n Airtable node that gets records by search. So we've included the table ID, or the base ID. You can see that here. Included the master keyword all variations table ID. You can see that here. And you run that step, and it returns all 101 keywords. I always set fields, use them sort of like variables. So here I'm taking and setting all these fields: keyword, record ID, primary keyword. This is the data that you get from any one of these records. So we have competition, monthly search volume is here somewhere, right there. Search intent, type is actually, well, type is type. Keyword suggestion, and that information again came from the first workflow back when you did keyword research. So I take all of the data, assign a field to it, and now it's good to go. And we're going to go through and go to this step, which is get all keywords. And we're going to go to this step, which is the category agent, and what he's doing is creating categories for the keywords. So here you go. This is the criteria he uses. You can change this. Monthly search volume 100 and keyword difficulty less than 30 is a quick win. Keyword difficulty greater than 50 and MSV or greater than 200 is an authority builder. So I'll let you look through these and let you know too that you quite likely are going to want to change these depending on the type of keyword that you're looking for. For example, if you're looking at keywords for best dog beds, there's a lot more search volume for that than there is for AI agent. So the associated keywords are also going to have more search volume for best dog beds than AI agent. So what is a quick win here might not really be the same criteria that you would use for another keyword. You're able to go in and adjust that, and I'll tell you too, when I very first put this workflow together, I didn't give it any math to do. I didn't give it any rules. I just said, you categorize this big keyword list as quick wins, authority builders, emerging topics, intent signals, and it did it, and it did a pretty good job of it. In fact, from what I recall, it was good enough that it was usable. I did feel like, though, it might be better to make that more rigid and give it some math to do, and that's what is coming in this workflow if you get it. You do have the option again to change it, or even change the whole prompt and let the LLM do that for you. And as they get better and smarter, that may be an option. It may be able to do this and adapt to the keyword and the search volume. So definitely something to look at there. So it categorized all the keywords and then put them in the category table. So as I said, that is this table, which you will not spend much time in, but this is the keywords. The primary keyword is somewhere, and this is what it came up with as far as categories. So that was what this output was for. So that was the output here. Again, 101 items going and being put into the category table. So now we want to so now continuing on, some keywords would have been categorized as unknown because there wasn't enough data. So we got 89 of those, or that do have a category. The other ones are filtered out. What's that? 12 were unknown. Again, you could adjust the criteria where you had more unknown because you want to be more rigid in your criteria, or you could adjust it to be less and always have a category. So that would be up to you. And then we have this loop here, and the reason I did that is I found that writing to Airtable 89 items straight in a row would cause an overload and would cause either Airtable's API to give me an error message, or it was the ChatGPT or the OpenAI model that did. So I just created this little loop to give it a little delay. And so what's happening here is the category content ideas from category agent takes these one at a time. So it's taking this, the keyword, what it is, quick wins, and the reasoning. It's taking that data and creating a record that includes the title, the description, keyword, the primary keyword, what category it is. So basically it's taking the categorized keywords and giving it a title and a description, and it does that one at a time, and it loops through here. So this little delay of writing to Airtable, setting the field, writing to Airtable, was enough that I have not had the problem where it got overrun again. So that's this top half of the workflow. We took in a bunch of keywords, categorized them, and then gave them all titles and descriptions. The second part of the workflow is here. Sorry, I probably could have zoomed in before. And what we're doing here is creating clusters and then adding the clusters to the sheet, and then creating hub and spoke content opportunities. So that's the name I gave of each one of the results, is a content opportunity that includes a title and a description. So here we're taking all of the 101 keywords in, and I aggregated them, and you'll see here it's just a huge data set of all of that data. So you've got the keyword, the primary keyword, search intent, navigational type. All of this stuff is input into this AI agent. So that is all of this. And basically what I've told it to do, I've said, you are an expert in semantic analysis and content clustering, and your task is to analyze a collection of keywords, so that's that whole set of keywords, and identify clusters. So that's what its role in life is. And then as far as the input, I'm telling it to analyze all keywords as a data set. It's a bit of a repeat there. Giving it guidelines for clustering, and the data, of course, to do the clustering on. So I did say let cluster count and size be determined by the natural groupings in the data. That's an area you might play with. I found with some that I think it should have come up with more clusters, and sometimes it was right on the money, and other times maybe it had too many. So it's an area that you could probably take a little bit of time and spend there and adjust that to your needs. Again, depending on the amount of keywords and search volume and all the data, you might want to take a look at that. Alrighty, so we have gotten past here. Now we just take all of those keywords that were assigned a cluster and put them into Airtable, which I will show you here. These are all the clusters. I think I must have already done this. So these are the AI agent tools and platforms cluster. But again, you would not spend much time here in either one of these tables. It would be here, but I'm going to show you the workflow first. So this was the part that just added those to the clusters table. This, I think, is probably the most interesting part of it. The categorization is, it takes that big list of keywords and gives you titles and articles and a reason and what to expect from them, whether the authority builder or a quick win. So that is all good. But I like the hub and spoke architecture. So it gives you the opportunity to really exhibit topical authority, and that's what this. So it gives you the opportunity to exhibit topical authority, and that's what this part of the workflow is doing, is creating that hub and spoke architecture. So we're taking in an entire clusters. We're taking in the clusters. There's one item with all of the clusters in it. You can see it has a cluster name, core topic, the intent pattern, and all the keywords that go with it. Here, I'm splitting that out so that we can feed them in one at a time to the AI agent. So this basically repeated the information, but it's been split out. So now this agent is responsible for your AI content strategist, specializing in creating SEO optimized hub and spoke content architectures. Create one hub article and up to 5 supporting spoke articles. Here again, you could change that. You could say 3 to 5, you could say 3, you could say 7, or you could say create the right number and let the AI figure out what that is. I actually have a workflow that does that, and I feel like it actually works better. Well, better is the wrong word. It works well. I think 5 spoke articles is probably a good number, but I'm not a big fan of specifying the number. I'd rather let the LLM figure it out. But here I just have it at 5 because I do know also that that works well, and you get a consistent output. So primarily it was to get that consistent output. The user prompt takes in all of the data, and again I'm giving it a little bit more instruction to create an SEO optimized title that is 60 characters long, the description, and then telling it more about the clustering, what the hub article is and what the spoke articles are. And here again I said up to 5 spoke articles. From the system prompt, it does always create 5. So that's what this part of the workflow is doing, which again is creating the opportunities, the hub and spoke, and giving you a title and a description. Here we're setting fields, splitting them all out so that all of them can be written individually to Airtable. And so that's what is here. This is what is in Airtable. I'll show you the actual table, which is content ideas from clusters. so that this is the final output of that part of the workflow. Again, we have a hub article and then 5 spoke articles. Okay, so that is the workflow, and basically I've gone through how it works, all the prompting and stuff. Again, you are more than welcome, of course, since it would be your workflow, to use it however you want. And I've tried to identify areas that might help it be better for your use case. You can adjust the prompts, for that. So that gets through the workflow. I would like to sort of wrap this up now. I would ask you, as all YouTubers do, to comment, like, and subscribe. I don't know if you have a YouTube channel. If you do, you know how important that stuff is. If you don't, believe me, it's important, so it would help me out, and I would appreciate it. Workflow details. The workflow is going to be available in Gumroad, which is where my other workflows are available. The keyword research with Airtable workflow is there. The auto writer is there as well. So I'll have a link. You click on it, it'll go to Gumroad, and you'll be able to purchase it. So yeah, to conclude, I just want to say thanks again for watching this video. Thanks for the support that people have given me. I've been very, very pleased and somewhat surprised for that. So again, thank you for that. And I would say one more time, if you are interested in working with me, let me know. Reach out through the discovery call button, click on it, book a call, and we can talk about how we might customize this workflow and enhance it to fit your business. So thanks again for watching, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.